the way that you describe, going to the cinema, going to the movies, and you think of it just as entertainment. That's when a story goes from just being a story to a myth, is when the people no longer see it as anything that's influencing them. They just see it as reality. This is just what we do. This is just how we live. This is just how things are. And in truth, it's not just how things are, it's how things are right now, because we don't see them as these myth making experiences. We just accept them, in the way that we accept national borders, and we accept money, and we accept allegiance to an athletic team. These just seem like normal things to us. They just seem to be the way that things are. But all of these things are things that we created. We invented all of them. And that's the power of myth, is to present a reality to you in such a way that you don't even know it's being presented. You just think that it is. And I find that fascinating. And then also going back to what you're saying about, everybody having their own opinions and everybody having their own thoughts about everything. And it does feel that way. But I think that that's the result of worshiping a monotheistic God for the last few thousand years in the Western world. Because from a Joseph Campbell perspective, to worship something is to emulate it. And it makes a lot of sense. Anytime you're trying to worship any of the ancient gods, or you're trying to worship, Jesus Christ, what you're trying to do is be like Jesus Christ. You want to, what would Jesus do? How would Jesus act? What would Jesus say? How would he treat his brothers and sisters? And so to worship something is to emulate it. And the way that the myths work is that over time we worship those gods long enough that it has the effect on us as a collective that we actually become more and more like that thing. And so when you worship a monotheistic God, meaning a God who's an individual, there's only one of them, all of a sudden the gods aren't collective, the God is an individual. And if we worship that God long enough, we all start to feel like we're individuals. It may not be an actual reality, but it is the way that our psyches become oriented. And so then you end up in a world like this, where we have all these underlying myths that we actually most likely agree on, because we're not even conscious that we're agreeing on them. But in the Western world, you end up with all these individuals who, about every political issue and every cultural issue and everything that's going on, everybody has their own opinion about what's going on, because we've moved so far towards the individualistic side of things and away from that collective side. And I have my own theories about where part of the myth is headed around that individualism. And I think if you've ever read Carl Jung's Red Book, you would kind of see where his mind was going with this idea of where the individual is going. But who knows? And it may just be a pocket of the entire world that heads in that direction, because there's so many different branches on this tree that we really don't know where everything's going to end up.